So guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm super excited today because I'm going to be answering some of you guys' questions that you have asked me on my YouTube as well as my Instagram. So let's get into it. Thanks so much for all you guys' messages. I'm really stoked at how many came through, and unfortunately I'm not going to get through all of them, but I'm going to try my best to get through as many as I can. And without further ado, this first one is going to be from Sir_Marco. His question is, at what age did you start bodyboarding? So I started bodyboarding pretty young. I was about 4 years old, I think, when I started. And that was the first time that I actually jumped off the pier at North Beach in Durban, where I grew up. And then competitively, I started at the age of about 11. And that was competing for my provincial or state team. Okay, so the second question is from Helgard or Helgard. His question was, how did it feel to surf against Tristan, knowing that beating him would take him out of the title scenario? So this is a really tough question, and even sitting in the water afterwards talking to Tristan, it gets difficult as a competitor, but at the same time you got to remember we're all competing to do better and to do well in these events. So I think Tristan would have been pretty upset if I had let down my guard and just let him win. So it's always tough, but these are competitions and you got to beat everyone in order to win that world title, and that's just how it goes, I guess. Thomas Primo, the question is, what is your favorite spot or type of wave? So my favorite spot would probably be down here in the Strand in Cape Town, and that's Caves. It is a right-handed wedge, but preferably my best wave would be a left hand. It doesn't really matter if it's on reef or on sand bottom, but I just really prefer riding lefts. When did you start bodyboarding is another one. Ben Clegg, how do you paddle so good? It's all technique. Albertus Rue, is there any good surf spots near Pearly Beach that you know of? I'm not actually from Cape Town area, so I don't know any really good spots there. David Perez, what do you think about your 2019 tour? 2019 was a tough year for me, both mentally and physically. I was dealing with an illness, and not that that was the main factor behind everything, but just mentally I wasn't really prepared for this year and what happened, and instead I focused majority of my efforts onto this video series, and there is a video coming out that will explain that whole scenario probably later in November. Sam Burgess, how to fly on a bodyboard? Pick one up, get a lot of speed, hit the lip. Jason Donison training, what's your daily routine at home and when traveling? The daily routine at home is generally look if there's waves in the morning. If there is waves, I pretty much sort my day out and deal with my routine around that. If there is no waves, it's wake up as late as possible, maybe go do some training, try and fit in something, and then it's making videos, sorting out photos, and pretty much just admin stuff. So a lot of emails backwards and forwards to sponsors, and yeah, just trying to keep as busy as possible. When I'm away, it's a lot different. It's more focused on if the event's going to be running or if it's not going to be running. And then the morning routine is generally get up, have a coffee, and then have some breakfast and decide whether or not I should go down to the beach or sit at home and wait for my heats to come up. And that's all just dependent on where we are at the time. Okay, so Jean, Nell, someone or the other, sorry, I can't really read your name, but the question is, who's your favorite bodyboarder and bodyboarder girl? So at the moment, I don't really have a favorite bodyboarder, but when it comes to the girls, they're all ripping at the moment, and it's hard to decide. Probably be a mix-up between all top 4 girls, because they're all just throwing down, they're doing big moves. If you're watching the Fronton event, they all went super crazy, so yeah, it's hard to decide which one specifically. Matt Warboys, his question is, being an athlete, living a healthy lifestyle, do you have cheat days or meals throughout your week? Being an athlete, especially a bodybuilder, I don't fixate too much on my meals. But no, I don't really have any cheat days or cheat meals. I'm suffering with a chronic stomach illness, so I'm trying to keep my diet as strict as possible for the moment. James Jones, this is the guy that filmed all the Elements films, and his question is, how did you get your first breakthrough win on the world tour? And this question is a really tough one to answer, because this was actually the year that I met Rosie, and it was a really cool situation with how this all went down. And at the end of 2016, which was the year where I first got a win on the APB tour, I ended up moving down to Cape Town. But before that, it was just kind of being in the right place at the right time with the right mental state, and everything just kind of aligned, and I just got lucky, I guess. And Kyle Wilkinson, what are you going to do after your career ends? Another amazing question, because I have no idea. I plan to do this for as long as I possibly can, and maybe if not in the bodyboarding side of things on the tour, I still want to keep bodyboarding as long as I possibly can, and maybe do some work with media, or keep doing this YouTube channel if it starts to get to somewhere where I can possibly be making money out of it. And I don't know, I haven't really decided that far yet. And now to the questions from the YouTube community page. And the first question is from Drew Robb. What to do during a big wave hold down? Make sure you never let your oxygen out of your body. As soon as you let your oxygen out, that's when your body is starved of oxygen and you end up drowning. If you keep your oxygen in your body and pass out, there's more of a chance of you getting saved. So if you get to that point, keep holding your breath. Okay, Jake W. This is a question that I've had a lot recently, but I want to do a video about it. But the question is, what is the maximum size wave you can duck dive, and what size is the biggest wave you've ever ridden? So on the duck diving side, I feel you could duck dive a pretty big wave, and if you're out in the conditions where you feel you can't duck dive, just throw your board and maybe head back to shore, because you shouldn't be out there. And the biggest wave I've ever ridden, I will try and insert a photo, maybe just straight up, and the photo is probably one of Pipeline back in 2016, I think it was, and my first ever trip to Hawaii. I surfed Waimea Shore Break, which was massive, and I actually got the cover of Movement, so I'll try to fit those photos in somewhere around here. Another message from Paul online on YouTube. Who was your favorite bodyboarder growing up? My favorite bodyboarder growing up was a mix between Ben Player and Jeff Hubbard. J Boogie POV, do you have to work at all, or is your bodyboarding career supporting you well enough financially? I ask this because it seems tough to be a pro these days. So I'm lucky that I am one of the very few of the bodyboarders that get to do this as a profession. I don't work outside of bodyboarding, but I do all these videos. I do a lot more work outside of just bodyboarding, and that's kind of why I'm able to do what I can do, and I'm lucky enough to be able to just bodyboard. And yes, living in South Africa, it's easily a lot easier to support yourself financially. Adam Morgan, what's the sketchiest wave you've ever ridden? There's a few waves on tour that are actually very sketchy. The wave in Iquique is really shallow on the low tide. Front on the low tide is really shallow. But sketchiest wave, there's actually a wave here in the Boland where I stay that's called Rot, and you literally have to ride towards a rock and just miss it. It's pretty much the same as Tunt. If you've seen the event go down, you're riding towards a rock and literally have to just miss the rock. So pretty sketchy. Dylan Pabo, what size board do you ride? I ride 42-inch boards. Hindsight 46 asks, neck stretches or exercises for spinning, looking over your shoulder, tips for spinning faster. So when it comes to neck stretches, I don't know if it's more about just kind of keeping the flexibility in your neck and shoulders. But when you get to spinning, it's all about head movement across your shoulder. So the faster you do that, as well as pulling your arms across the board, that'll allow you to spin a lot faster, and that's the way you'd probably get to doing those moves faster and faster. But practice makes perfect. Calisthenic work. What was your approach to learning new moves? So I've been bodyboarding now since I was 11 competitively, but from about 7 years old. And when I was like 11 or 12, I started to do inverts because those were the closest move to rolls, and then those turned into ARSs, and basically it was just kind of the evolution of how I was doing moves. So the bigger I got my rolls, the easier it was to hold inverts upside down, and then as soon as I got that motion of being able to control the invert, then it was easier to go into the ARSs and so on and so on. And it was only really when I started to compete at a higher level did I start to do air reverses and proper backflips. So it takes time. These things it's not overnight, so keep trying. Lewis Priest, caves, APB stop or somewhere else? I'm not 100% sure what they plan on doing for next year. I know they're looking to bring the APB tour here, but I don't know exactly where it's going to happen. I don't think caves is the right spot because it is an absolute logistical nightmare to get stuff down there, and with the baboons and everything else that goes on down there, it's not the right place. And then Lewis again asks, pros who free surf with no shirt on, how do you avoid chafe, wax, no wax, or do you just stick it out? So with the boards that we're using, most of the time I don't put wax anywhere near my chest or stomach area, so that means that it's a lot easier for you to kind of slide up and down the board, but at the same time that area doesn't get scratchy on your stomach. The chafe that you'll get most of the time is on your board short lining, where that meets and starts rubbing against your skin. So I guess sticking it out is just the only way. I don't really know how else to explain that, but it really doesn't feel that bad after you ride it for a while. Gary Light asks, have you ever had a fear of drowning when paddling out? Also, what's the biggest wave you ever surfed? So again, I'll try and insert those photos before, but have you ever had a fear of paddling or drowning when you're paddling out? And no, I kind of stick to my limits and know exactly when I should and shouldn't go out, so I try to keep that in mind all the time, and if in doubt, don't go out. That's the bottom line. Sasha Talliard asks, do you think there should be more board shapers in Africa, and do you think it would help the bodyboarding industry? This question is really political, but to be completely honest, I don't think there is a need for more bodyboard shapers or board companies in the industry. It's already so saturated that majority of the market can't even keep itself afloat because there's just so many board brands out there. When it comes to board shapers, it would be highly beneficial for more board shapers to come on board for sure, but then you're going to have licensing agreements that are going to be terminated because of that, and it just runs into so much logistics that I just think it's better that we keep it as it is, but there definitely needs to be more support when it comes to the bigger board brands and how you see the industry working at the moment. And Carlos Torres asks, is the Infinity Flex with ISS ever going to be available to the public? And then also, when are you coming back to California? And where do I apply to be on the road hype man and chef? Well, if I had enough money, I'd definitely be bringing Rosie along with. So, and when am I coming back to California? Maybe in the new year. I need to still check exactly when my plan's going to be to go to the US. And the Infinity Flex with ISS, this is it's a difficult one because how they make that board is they shave the core on the deck a lot thinner, and the core for the ISS is a lot bigger. So when it gets put together, there's a lot more possibility that that can actually snap, and recently it has happened. So we're still trying to do quite a lot of research on how to make those better and just how to make it work completely and make it work correctly. But hopefully in the not so distant future, we can do that. Andrea Stevens asks, what's your workout before the competition, like stretches, warm-ups, etc.? I've kind of got a routine that I've stuck to for the last couple years that kind of gets the whole body working. It's a little bit of upper body, some abs, just some leg stretching. So I can't really explain it right now, but it's just push-ups, some planking for the abs, and then just some leg work that I do. And this kind of is a full body warm-up and stretch before I go into the water. It's just to activate muscles and not necessarily to stretch muscles out. You never want to be stretching your muscles when you're cold, so I prefer to stretch after a day's activity and not before, rather just warm up before and stretch after. And Logan asks, how do you overcome big waves mentally? You got to be confident in your abilities and exactly what you're going to do in the water. It's not so much overcoming it mentally, rather than just knowing where your boundaries are. For me, there's been so many circumstances where I've looked at the ocean and I've been saying to myself, it looks good, but it's not going to be good out there. I'm going to go out there, it's going to be risky, and at the end of the day, just as I said before, if in doubt, don't go out. But just play to your strengths, know your abilities, and just focus on that rather than trying to push yourself over the limit. Sky and Brit ask, could you walk us through how to gain speed and maintain speed on a bodyboard? How you would maintain speed is keeping your body as center as you can on the board. So that means keeping your weight as equally distributed from the front and the back. To gain speed, you would then lift your body and move it forward, and to reduce speed, you'd obviously pull your body back. I have made a video, I will put it up here and show you guys. It's pretty much the basics. It explains exactly where your body should be, how your arms should be, and whether to move forward or backward, and that will explain it a lot better because it's difficult in this situation. And the last question is from Connor. It is, how often do fans approach you when you're back home in the normal life? It happens pretty often when I'm at the beach, but just in my normal life, going to the shops and stuff, I'm not actually from this town, so not a lot of people know me here, which is quite nice. But when we're on tour, and definitely when I'm at the beach, there's quite a lot of fans that come up to me and not so much ask for photos, but just want to talk, and it's really cool. I love interacting with you guys, so if you ever see me in public, please just come up and say hi, and for sure I'll answer any questions that you guys have. So guys, that is the end of the question and answer video. Thank you guys so much for your questions. I really appreciate it. To say thank you, I'm going to be giving away these 3 hats here. I will sign them or do whatever you guys would like me to do with them. If it's write something on the inside or just sign them with a marker, but completely up to you. I will be doing that and giving them away. All you got to do is comment down below and subscribe to the channel and tell me exactly why you want one of these hats, and I will be choosing 3 lucky winners. So guys, stay tuned to the YouTube channel. I will be bringing out a few more videos in the coming weeks, as well as the last interview video for the Elements series, which will just explain exactly why we did everything within the video. I really appreciate all you guys' support and all your comments and questions down below. I'll try get to answering every single one of them. But thanks so much for the support, and we'll see you guys in the next video.